like an African chant.
Rolling Stone has just released a shocking investigative report that sheds new light on the tragic story of Craig Mack, the first artist to walk away from Bad Boy Records. While many thought they had heard it all, 50 Cent, who's been working on a documentary about Diddy, has revealed even more disturbing details about how Craig Mack's life spiraled after his time with Diddy. From the nightmare of working under Diddy at Bad Boy to falling into the clutches of a doomsday cult, Craig's life took a terrifying turn. But it wasn't just Craig. Other Bad Boy artists like Maze, Shine, and Loon also turned to religion after their run-ins with Diddy. Craig's story, however, is the most heartbreaking, as he nearly ended Diddy's life before succumbing to the emotional and psychological toll. So, what really happened to Craig Mack? How did his time at Bad Boy push him to the edge? And what did Rolling Stone and 50 Cent uncover about his untimely death? Let's dive into the tragic life of Craig Mack. Craig Jameson Mack, better known to the world as Craig Mack, was born in the Bronx and grew up on Long Island. Starting out as a teenager under the stage name MCZ, Craig's talent was undeniable. His big break came when Alvin Toney, a music industry veteran, introduced him to Sean Diddy Combs. Diddy was so impressed with Craig's rapping that he immediately offered him a record deal with the newly launched Bad Boy Records. Craig was the first rapper to release music under the Bad Boy banner, and his 1994 hit single, Flava in Ya Ear, became an instant classic, topping the charts and propelling him to fame. The remix of Flava in Ya Ear was even more legendary, marking the breakout of the Notorious B.I.G. and one of Busta Rhymes' first solo moments. With the industry buzzing about Craig Mack, Diddy promised a second album in a 1994 interview on Asterix Yo. Until Raps, Asterix claiming it would drop in January 1995. But despite the hype, that album never materialized and Craig's career began to unravel. Years later, Craig Mack revealed what really went down in an interview. He shared that while he was eager to release a second album, Diddy only offered him a fraction of the money he was promised. When Craig refused to work for less than agreed upon, Diddy allegedly threatened him, turning their professional relationship into a hostile one. Craig was ready to stand his ground and even considered taking drastic action against Diddy, but ultimately decided against it. Craig's refusal to record under these conditions led to him stepping away from Bad Boy, but the damage was done. His career stalled, and despite releasing a second album in 1997, it failed to replicate the success of his debut. Craig disappeared from the hip-hop scene until 2012, when a shocking video revealed that he had joined a cult called Overcomer Ministry in Walterboro, South Carolina. Overcomer Ministry wasn't just any religious group, it was a secluded Christian commune where around 70 people lived in isolation, preparing for the second coming of Jesus. The leader of this group, Ralph Garden Stair, was later arrested on a multitude of charges, including some involving young members of the cult. Despite Stair's arrest, Craig Mack remained with Overcomer Ministry until his death, deeply affected by his time at Bad Boy and the emotional scars it left behind. Rolling Stone's latest investigative report uncovers even more shocking details about Craig's life after Bad Boy. According to the report, Craig was in talks with Suge Knight about leaving Bad Boy for Death Row Records in the mid-90s. Craig's career had hit a rough patch despite the massive success of Flava in Ya Ear, and he was seriously considering jumping ship. Suge Knight offered Craig a $200,000 advance and an $11.25 million recording budget, a tempting offer for an artist struggling under Diddy's control. However, things took a dark turn when Diddy learned about the negotiations. Craig was forced to withdraw his bankruptcy filing, which he had hoped would free him from his Bad Boy contract, and agree to give up a portion of his potential death row earnings. But before Craig could finalize the move, Tupac's tragic murder in 1996 shook the hip-hop world, derailing Craig's plans to join Death Row. Left with nowhere to turn, Craig found himself in an even more precarious situation. Craig's ex-wife, Roxanne Alexis Hill Johnson, told Rolling Stone that Craig was terrified of Diddy, who she claims became vindictive. After learning about Craig's potential departure, she said, "Puff was pissed." Mack was leaving Bad Boy, and the fact that he was going to Puff kicked it off. He was the catalyst. I do feel like Puff's the trigger. He effed my family up. On March 12, 2018, news broke that Craig Mack had passed away at just 47 years old. It was initially reported that he died of heart failure, but Rolling Stone revealed that Craig's death certificate listed the cause of death as HIV/AIDS, and that he had refused treatment. This revelation has led to wild theories that Diddy may have played a role in Craig's death, with some speculating that Craig was deliberately infected with the virus. While these theories may seem far-fetched, they're not without precedent. In the late 90s, rumors swirled that people were being injected with HIV as a way to eliminate them without leaving a trace. Suge Knight himself made a chilling reference to this during a notorious interview with Jimmy Kimmel, where he joked about injecting people with HIV instead of shooting them. Craig's final days with Overcomer Ministry were spent in isolation, deeply affected by his health issues and the psychological trauma he endured during his time in the music industry. Despite the allegations against Ralph Stair and the cult's controversial practices, Craig chose to stay until his last breath. This decision, coupled with his refusal to seek treatment for HIV, raises questions about how deeply Craig was affected by his time at Bad Boy and whether he truly found peace in the end. 50 Cent has been vocal about the dark side of Bad Boy Records, frequently hinting that Diddy had a hand in the downfall of several artists. In a series of Instagram posts, 50 Cent called Diddy Satan and suggested that Diddy was involved in Biggie's death. He also pointed out that many former Bad Boy artists like Shine, Loon, and Maze turned to religion after distancing themselves from Diddy, implying that their experiences with the label were deeply traumatic. 50 Cent's upcoming documentary is set to explore these themes further, diving deep into Craig Mack's life and death and exposing Diddy's rumored involvement. Fans are eagerly awaiting the documentary, hoping it will finally shed light on what really happened to Craig Mack. Craig Mack's story is a tragic one, filled with missed opportunities, betrayal, and a desperate search for peace. His untimely death has left many questions unanswered, and the revelations from Rolling Stone and 50 Cent only add to the mystery surrounding his life. As we await more information from 50 Cent's documentary, one thing is clear. Craig Mack's legacy as a hip-hop pioneer will never be forgotten, but the darkness that surrounded his life serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of fame, power, and manipulation in the music industry. What are your thoughts on Craig Mack's story? Do you believe that his time at Bad Boy made him vulnerable to the influences that ultimately led to his demise? And what do you think about the theory surrounding his death? Drop your comments below, and don't miss out on our next story.